Hello and welcome to part 5 of my relaxed chatting about mastering series that doesn't actually have a name. Maybe I'll give it a name at some point. What I want to talk about this time is something very, I guess, more abstract and less about the business and more about a mindset. What I want to talk about is what sort of person would be a mastering engineer, and I'm aiming this sort of at people who might think that they might want to go into this, audio discipline, I guess you could say, or they might want to like dip their toes in it, or they're just interested in, the sort of people who end up being master engineers, and or I guess the range of personalities you might come across. Probably the first way to kick this off is to talk about what makes mastering different to other stuff. Now, mastering is a short process generally. It's a detail-oriented process, and it's a holistic process. So it's for people who like to work quickly on stuff, maybe have several things going on at once, but like to focus 100% on when they're doing it. Me personally, I've always been put off by recording and mixing and production side of stuff, which the vast majority of people, especially who are musicians, are drawn towards because it has more creativity. The reason why I never wanted to go into those areas is because I find the chaos difficult to give my full attention. So as much as I enjoy doing recordings myself and being in bands and stuff like that in the past, I find the constant disruptions, the inherent lack of direction because you are experimenting, and the unfixed length that you need to do to sort of achieve your goals. I find that quite frustrating with my personal temperament, personality, however you want to word it. I like the idea of being able to work on lots of different types of music, and I like the idea of me being a music nerd, collector, buyer, listener, obsessive, feeding into my professional life. Some people don't need that, and that's absolutely fine. What I'm suggesting is that I kind of see my downtime almost like training for my job, and when I'm doing the actual mastering, that's when I'm on 100%. My brain is fully active, and I'm charging people for it and all that kind of stuff. If you're mixing, you also tend to be working with a lot of different people, and you kind of have to be a bit of a sort of juggler of different desires and also different ends that you're trying to meet. Whereas in mastering, it's sort of all that stuff's sort of been decided, and your goal is just to get it over the line. It also appeals to people who like high pressure as far as results go, because you can track a couple of guitars and then be average in a great album and no one will ever notice. But average mastering on a great album can be the difference between people thinking, I want to stick that on when I'm in the car and really connecting with it, or people when they're writing the reviews being able to give it another angle. It sounds amazing. It's I can't believe how it jumped out the speakers and all that sort of stuff. There's nothing to say that mastering not being absolutely perfect will kill a record, but mastering something badly can. And having that level of control freakery is something which is appealing to people who go in to do mastering. I personally also enjoy the fact that it's kind of a surprise as well. Like I get stuff sent to me all the time. I have no idea what the genre is, or the style, or the sort of tone of the album, and you just literally load the files in, you check it, and you just go, right, okay, it's this. And within seconds, really, you've pulled an EQ up and you're starting to do the loudness, different tracks and sequencing and stuff. And I like that, going from 0 to 100% thing. Whereas with mixing and production, recording, tracking, live sound as well, there's a lot more sort of like you can pull back for a bit and then you can push in and then you're ramping up to a big thing. And I think the vast majority of people, that's what they want in a job. But for me, it's like I flick a switch. When I'm in the studio, I'm in the studio. If anybody bothers me, I get angry and upset. If I lose concentration, if a piece of equipment goes down or something, which I'll talk about in one of my next videos about how I got rid of all of my hardware. It breaks my concentration. Like, it's a cliche, but people sometimes call it, like a Zen state of mind where you are giving yourself over 100% to the project and the idea. And if you're somebody who feels that you can do that, then it might be that mastering is more your thing than doing the mixing stuff. As well, it's like if you like deadlines and this has to be done by tomorrow. It's like, right, okay, you make decisions, the decisions are made. If they're wrong, so be it. It goes out into the world. So there's an element of risk as well that can be fun. It's what it is. It's good fun to do that. And when you get it right, it feels amazing. When people don't like it, then it doesn't feel so great. But at the end of the day, you're providing for the artist, and the artist and the label have to sign off on everything. So, you probably shouldn't take the glory, and vice versa. You probably shouldn't take the blame for stuff, which is a whole other issue. Mastering engineers take a lot of flack for things which tend to be really baked into the project. There's a couple of high-profile examples of that with many YouTubers discussing that. So we won't go down that rabbit hole. But yeah, I think if you're somebody who likes the idea of deep concentration, likes the idea of working on their own, because most mastering is on your own. It used to be that some of it was attended. Obviously, COVID and working conditions and everything changed that. And I do like working on my own. My wife goes off to work in the morning. I have a cup of coffee. I do the emails on my computer, which I'm recording onto right now in my dining room. And then I go into the studio. I load the files up and I work until it's done. Speaking of which, work-life balance is a big difference with mastering. It's a lot more, you can clock in and clock out. As long as you get it done, it's high profile, but it's condensed. I answer emails sometimes in the evening. I take phone calls if I'm expecting them, especially. But you could be doing a mixing session and someone could say, I want to retrack the vocal, and you go, all right, let's throw a mic up. And then it's midnight, So if you're someone whose lifestyle, you like to have downtime to do hobbies, then mastering, and also things like remote mixing as well, and like maybe podcast editing, this sort of post-production stuff, is probably more suitable for you. Mastering also generally doesn't have live interaction. It's more like stages. So you go through stages, you upload stuff, you send it, you take feedback, which I mentioned earlier on in my first video. So yeah, if that's something that interests you and you're thinking, actually, I want to have a go at this, feel free to post in the comments if there's any further questions about the next step, perhaps. Maybe I'll talk about that in another video. And of course, like I said on the other videos, if you want to talk to me, you can get me on contact at joecaithnessmastering.com, or joecaithnessmastering.com is my website. I realise as well that I keep switching between mastering and mastering, and plot twist, I'm from the Midlands, and in the Midlands, and I live in the Midlands as well. I'm from the West Midlands, Southwest Midlands, and I live in the Northeast Midlands. We tend to switch the Bath, master around, depending on the flow of the conversation. So if anybody's picked up on that, then maybe you should be a mastering engineer, because that's the sort of detail that other people, really don't give a damn about. But, if you like stuff like that, then maybe you should be a mastering engineer. Cheers, and thanks for watching.